Now, IQ, although I have a high one, has nothing to do with making this system work. I'd like to say John just proved that, but I'm not going to say that. I'm also not going to get the argument with my wife who is poor. That's for another talk, Sally. But this has nothing to do with it. We have a kid with 180 IQ that he's worth about 40 million. We've got a kid that has an 80 IQ that did a 400 million transaction. Has nothing to do with it. Now, I'm in discussions with the Rob Report right now about something. But when I was running down Torrance Boulevard in 1983, March of 83, Rob Report was only a few years old, and I read in the back you could buy a castle on an island. I was thinking more like a James Bond island, like in the movies. And arguably, we are on an island at Guthrie, not the kind of island I thought. But that was one of my goals. That was March of 1983. And in September of 1984, I moved in. September 1st, 1984. 15 months later. Was it 17? It was 15 or 17 months later. You don't set high goals, if you set goals at all, because you've been taught set small incremental goals that you can achieve like a cunt. And don't set big goals that you might not achieve, and you embarrass yourself. Hell, Elon Musk says he can finance when he was going to take the company private. Remember a couple years ago? Got fined $25 million, which was a joke. High-performance people engage in self-deprecation. They make fun of themselves because they have big egos. They have high self-esteem. They have a limitless self-confidence. Just the opposite of you. Because I believe. Now, don't raise your hand, but some of you in the audience believe in a higher power. Doesn't matter, whoever it is, right? Have you ever seen him? No. What's your basis of belief? Faith. The people that are successful in this program have to believe in the system, ergo themselves. Because little meaningless shitbags just like you have made it work. If St. Teresa, and I put my money on the bitch before she became a saint, if St. Teresa floated down through the fucking ceiling, I'd ask her for a fucking ID. But I believe. Strange times are these in which we live when old and young are taught falsehoods in school. Sounds about right. And the person that dares to tell the truth is called at once a lunatic and a fool. They've been calling me now I'm an overnight success. I get on the TV program. I'm an over-fucking-night success after 51 and a half years. I'm an overnight success. I've been saying the same motherfucking thing for 50 fucking years. 28 and a half years to you meatheads. And I've got the multi-billionaires to prove it. The largest deal in recorded history. From teenage multimillionaires to the largest deal in recorded history. There's no such thing as work-life balance. There are work-life choices, and you make them, and they have consequences. I wasn't around for the raising of our kids. I didn't see them very often. I wasn't a very good father. And, but I knew that before I did it. I'm not saying that's an excuse. I made my decision early on. And some of you have gone to the soccer games and all the stuff that you do. And of course, I got a smile on my face. And how's your fucking program worked out? You mealy mouth cunts. How's it worked out? It hasn't. Money's not everything. That's the only thing anybody keeps track of. But my program worked out to the decimal, to your motherfucking spreadsheets. For those of you that have some dreams, and I still say my affirmations and my prayers every night, you got the pessimists, you got rejection, you got your friends, you got the haters, you got society, you got your relatives, And you can't say families without saying lies. You've got just fear. You've got guilt. You've got doubt. In some cases, you've got a boss. No wonder you don't get there. Play it safe. You should be happy with what you have. You've changed. For me to get around away from my familia environment, my Hispanic environment, I moved 7,000 miles. 7,000 miles. I've only had 2 relatives that have visited me in 38 and a half years, 37 and a half years. My kid brother and my dad, and my mother died there, died at the castle. Because I don't ask them. Because poorness rubs off. Heretofore, this is your sum total of your knowledge you have about creating generational wealth or success. A pile of shit. In this particular case, dinosaur shit. Kids are not programmed for success. Unless you're fortunate to be the child of Andrew Agassi and Steffi Graf, 2 world-class athletes, gold medalists, Grand Slam, blah, blah, blah. You're not. You're the average of the 5 people you spend most of the time with. Who is that? A mom, maybe a part-time dad, an older brother or sister, a grandparent, and an uncle or something, right? What the fuck do they know about anything? Nothing. They're certainly not going to grow you up to be that. Their father, who I knew, and Bill Smith just got an Academy Award for playing him, were at Torrance Park, and his father, although they didn't show it in the movie too much, was hard on him. I knew Tiger Woods' dad as well, from Torrance, California again. Was hard on him. And then one of the greatest comebacks a couple years ago. So how am I so different than you? Other than I got more sex than the Beatles and a couple of other things like that, which I'm very proud of. Extremely proud, actually. Now, back in the day, when I was in my maybe early 30s, there was a foul and odious rumor that went around that the male organs could only produce between 32 and 35,000 orgasms. 32 and 35,000 orgasms. So I went to 3 or 4 of the top guys in the United States because I was concerned, because I was going to fly through that fucking number like shit through a goose. And the first guy, UCLA, still remember him, nice Asian guy, he said, you're not the first person to come to. I mean, who's saying this stuff? And there was no internet then. I said, well, I heard it. I just want to hear it from somebody that knows more about this than me, that it's a lie. And he smiled and said, it is. But I went to 2 other guys. And they said, one in Houston, and one in New York City. But that was one of my concerns when in my early 30s. God, please God, that's got to be a lie. That can't be true. But I was taught ballroom dancing in the hood, in the barrio. I used to go to Arthur Murray for $10 a month. He had a poor section, you could do, and I learned ballroom dancing. My mother and I won a national ballroom dancing contest when I was about 10, 11, and she was about 38 or 40. I took golf lessons at Wilson Park in Los Angeles. Free golf lessons. Nobody played golf in the hood. Nobody, believe me. So ballroom dancing and golf, my number was up. And I took free tennis lessons at Wilson Park. And I assure you, nobody played tennis, played golf, and ballroom danced. And my parents, wisely I believe, allowed me to believe in Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, and the Tooth Fairy long, long after I should have. My cousins that are still alive, a few years older than me, Dan, when he was 14 years old, still believed in Santa Claus. But that's somewhat of an exaggeration, but not much of one. And they didn't allow us to speak Spanish in the house. Because only pendejo, dirt farmer, ditch digger, fucking gutter people spoke Spanish. And just imagine, I'm in East LA. Hardly anybody spoke fucking English. And when my mother and father wanted to talk about something they didn't want me to know, they'd step in another room and speak Spanish, which is their primary language, both of them. My mother would have died if I spoke English with a Mexican accent. My uncle, 2 PhDs, instead of saying Chavez Regal, said Chavez. That wasn't going to happen to me. And by serendipity, my mother got a hold of a book by Benjamin Spock about raising kids. It was written in 1946. After the Bible, it's the second most purchased book in the history of the world, about 100 million copies. It taught you how to raise a kid. Quasi-tough love. They didn't call it tough love. And that was her Bible. And the only music I was allowed to hear was classical. In the hood. Beethoven, Tchaikovsky. And I got to fight 3 times a day. I get tossed out of school sometimes, once before lunch and once after lunch. When we went back to look at the school with my wife and with the principal, nice man, and we walked around the schoolyard, and you play four ball there, right? I broke a kid's arm in 7 places right there. Then we go down to the tether ball. You know, the tether ball, the ball goes around the pole. I put a guy's eyes out right here. Memory lane. As a kid in grammar school. They used to call me a hellion. I'm not sure what that means. But when my wife met years ago, my aunt said, he was an angel. I'm not old enough yet to block out all the bad shit. But I guess when you really get old, you block out all the bad shit, right? Because my aunts and uncles, he was such a cutie and an angel. But that's what my parents did, which is about the opposite of what your parents did. They were making a conscious effort. That laced with beatings from my father. I don't know about it, 100, but certainly many. If I see a $20 bill fall out of your pocket at the airport, I'll chase you down. I won't get on the plane chasing you. Make sure that you got the $20 bill, because next to godliness was honesty. Now the kid will just pick it up and put it in his bag and walk the other way. That's our grandson. Future legend. There's all kinds of psychiatrists that say that we shouldn't do this. And they're all dead fucking broke. They should be dead, but they're just broke. They're not dead yet. Little shit. When I first met both of my grandchildren, I'm looking at them and they go like this. Some like this still. Oh, I'm supposed to take it, okay? Kiss it. On the forehead.